Season 5 of the Kashif Booth podcast is proudly sponsored by Tailor.style, a men's fashion styling subscription service, which uses AI and professional stylists to find the right clothes for your next event. Whether it's a business work trip, a movie premiere, Tailor.style can cater all the needs for you, and you don't need to keep the clothes. You can hire them and send them back once you're done. With their several different subscription packages, you can get clothes monthly or quarterly. Tailor is perfect for the busy man on the go, or if you are working in the film or TV industry and you need some clothes for your latest production, hit up Tailor.style. You can be able to get reasonable clothes at great prices and no fuss. You can return them when you're done. It's so easy. There's just 5 simple steps. You curate the clothes that you need it for, then you get a new package of clothes in 2 to 3 business days, and then when you're done, swap them out for new ones and enjoy. And then you can repeat the whole process whenever you need a new set of wardrobe for whatever event or occasion that you're attending. Get 25% off your first monthly or quarterly plan by using Kashif at checkout or Kashif QTR. Check them out at Tailor.style. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Kashif Booth podcast. If you're new here, each week I sit down with a guest and we discuss their career so far, the highs, the lows, and what's next for them. Today's guest is Nonye Nkowcha. He is a creative director and founder of his own fashion company, Koch House. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yes,
a
I'm
pleasure.
happy to have you on. We've been trying to sort this out for a while, but here we are. We're here.
I think it's close to a year now, yeah?
It's been a long time because we
Been a long
connected back in 2024. Do you remember
2024. Yeah.
we met at London Africa
London
Fashion Week
Yeah. Fashion Week.
in London, and it was funny because I was saying we were with another young lady who's a designer called Dede Aliola, and she's also got her own label out in Lagos, Made Love with by Dede. And I remember I was originally on the front row of the fashion show. Yeah, I was like, okay, cool, I'm on the front row. Then I'd say about 10, 15 minutes later, they were like, oh, I'm sorry, you guys have to move. This is for family and friends. And we were just like, oh, okay. And I was like, but we didn't just sit there wherever. We just were told to sit there. Then they told us to move. And then I ended up...
Just a little embarrassing.
Yes, exactly. So I was like, okay, fine. So then I saw there was a seat next to Day, and then I sat next to her, and then you came over, and I remember we were just there watching the show, and you guys were giving me the lowdown of all the different fashion designers. I feel like Ugo Monye, was like the highlight of the fashion show, and he's just incredible. I love what he's doing. And so so it was just a fun evening, and I learned so much about the fashion industry because the year prior we were trying to actually get the organizations behind London Africa Fashion Week to be in a documentary I was producing. It was for BET UK, and it was all about Black British fashion and the influence it has on, British culture. But we didn't get to interview them, but they invited me down to come that time. So so it was just a fun memory. And so it was great to connect, and I wanted to, the way you network is making sure that you stay in contact with the people you network with. You don't just have them on Instagram. No,
and then
you keep it going.
True, actually.
Exactly. So here we are. So, Nonye, tell me about you. How did you get started in the fashion industry, and what made you want to create your fashion label, Koch House? And we can go into the many subsidiaries because there's a lot.
Okay, so I think I'll say this year, in August of this year, would be 14 years as a brand. And we've been at it for a while now. Every time I get asked this question, it just takes me back to way back. Because first of all, I would like to say I am first a businessman. I've always had my hands in different things, doing business. And then somehow, at some point, I found myself in a space where I was with almost every other businessman. I had no money, and there were kind of no prospects, right? But I just knew for a fact that as a businessman, the only thing that's close to me, or should I say a low-hanging fruit, was fashion. because I was fashionable. And one of the ways I get my inspiration is I look at people, I look at what you're wearing, and I look for how I can spice it up in my own way. So it's a thing that it's like a hobby of sorts, or like a habit. When I go out, you know how people look at people and like, oh, this is nice. I do the opposite. I look at people and I go, oh, I wish you had no wonder glasses. If you had like a gold frame here, you'd have been finer. So I try to critique it in a way in my own style. So I just figured, if I already do this and I'm out of like ideas for what to do for business and out of cash of sorts. So I just thought, you know what, why don't just combine two passions, fashion and business, bring it together and then start small. So at first we were just making Ankara shirts. That's how I started. And I like raided my mom's wardrobe and took all her wrappers. So that's how I started literally. Because as I said, there was no capital, there was nothing. So, you know, I had to start with something. So yeah, that's how the brand started 14 years ago. And here we are now.
That is incredible. That is incredible. So, most people who start a brand, they're the ones sketching and designing. Are you sketching and designing, or do you hire a team of designers? How did that process start in the humble beginnings, and where are you now?
So I'd say, as I said to you, brand started off with like a passion, right? Trying to mix two different things, business and fashion, right? And as at the time, I didn't know so much about sketching and designing. I just knew, I'd probably say styling, that's the word. How to mix colors, how to mix patterns, how to mix fabrics. This would go with this would go best with this. So I knew to put together this color and this to make this outfit, that kind of thing. So it was, at first, it was always a problem because I had to, employ tailors. And one of the biggest headache or problems is transferring what you can see in your mind to some other person's mind so they can produce it for you. So at first it was a really hard journey because the sketches were not sketching, they were just trash. But the thing is, it was kind of the process of going back and forth, just the iteration of this is not it. We produce like this. So there was a lot of wastage. But over time, we got to understand ourselves. And I think on the third year, so I kind of like found a passion or found a way because I found myself now that I'm going to do this for a long time. So I had to find a way to get into tailoring, learn how to sew, learn how to sketch. And I would say for the first 3 years, it was literally my eyes, my hands, and my mouth. Do it like this, do it like this. I really couldn't sketch so much. But after a while,
Oh,
just you get better in it.
I love that. I love that. And obviously, you started off with men's fashion. Men's fashion is, I wouldn't say it's underrated, but like when people think of fashion, especially in the wider scale, they think of women. So, what is so good about for you as, Nigerian man tailoring to the upper scale, man, but also mixing in your culture with the kaftans that you do and stuff like that, but also mixing in Western modern styles. Like, how have you found navigating that space and as being a designer as well?
Well, I'd say it's been pretty easy. And why I'd say that is because I feel like one of the mistakes people make is they try to, I mean, it's half and half, right? But what I would say mistake people make mostly is try to please or try to cater to a market. And why I say it's a mistake is because you can't give what you don't have. Do you understand? And as a creative, I feel like if you find yourself doing something and you're doing it well, the main challenge you should have is trying to make people buy what you can do, as against trying to make what they want. Do you understand? So I feel like why I say it's easy is because, as I said to you, there are designs I would make. I know for a fact that some people won't wear it because they can't resonate with that themselves. And there's some designs that you can bring to me because I'm a bespoke tailor. So what that means is sometimes people or clients bring their designs to say, well, I want this, put your style to it. My brain cannot put it together because I see things in a certain kind of way. So I kind of like tailor things or produce for a kind of people. So there's a line to it. I mean, it's broad, but it's still in a lane of sorts. So you can't cater to everyone, I'll say. So for dealing with men, and again, men are quite simple. So I think if you want to get into fashion and you have a passion for it and you think you have a bit of knowledge, you have a bit of discipline because it takes a whole lot of discipline. But if you have these things, your point of entry should probably be menswear, because men don't have I mean, there are many more fashionable men now, but I don't think there being a time where, it would be hard to please a man in the sense of what he will wear. It's in a certain kind of like boxes. Do you get me? If you take this, you're good to go. So it's not been hard, because it's more of me trying to kind of like delving into my own space and looking for how to make people buy what's in my mind, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, that makes sense. I love that. So, how did you find breaking into the fashion industry? Did you start off in Lagos, like first, and then come to London? Obviously, you not being in a fashion background, you weren't a designer. How did you, it sounds like you started off with just clients and then built up to where your brand is today, but how did you break into that market in Lagos? And, how difficult was it for you to be able to establish your brand?
Well, I see, I'd say networking, right? I'd say that would probably be like the best way to explain it, because I feel as every human, we have some kind of like advantage. For me, apart from the fact that I can design and make good clothes like off the fly, just easy, I think I am good at meeting people, keeping relationship. I mean, we're here because of it. So I feel like, you meet this one, you speak to this person, you speak to this person, you keep a good relationship, and you have something to offer. It's a thing where, it's networking, but it's two ways. It's kind of like mutual, so mutual beneficial in the sense that I give you something, some value, some information, something, and then you just grow like that in the industry. So I'll say how I've broken through mostly is through networking and my designs. So
That's
yeah,
good. Yeah,
no
no,
problem.
that's good. No, I think that is good because people don't understand the power of networking. It's networking across and also networking up. Sometimes you have to network across for you to be able to get the connection to be at Lagos Fashion Week, and then when you're there, you network up, and people don't understand that they're trying to go to the CEO straight away. And it's like, no, you need to gradually get there and build up. Exactly, exactly. And you've been able to, as I mentioned before, be able to be based in the UK as well and have a base here. And so, how is it transferring from Lagos to London and becoming an international brand? Because, that's easier. You've made it look easy in 14 years. So,
Wow.
like, what was that like? And like cranking this market, did you go through it through like the British Nigerian community, or, how did you kind of break into the fashion industry here to be able to kind of bring your originality to the UK?
Something funny is you saying it's easy. Like I make it look easy. It's hard, man. It's well, I'll just probably say, it's a long time coming of sorts. Why? Because even while back in Lagos, I can say like 67% of my clients were already out of Nigeria. They were not in Nigeria. They're mostly US, UK, and Canada. Right. And because of time zone, because of like proximity to Lagos for my business, I just figured, I mean, it's just like a smart choice to come kind of like plant base, or shall I say plant presence here in the UK. And it's not been quite easy, because you know how you plan your stuff. Like you say, you come here, you this, you this, you this, you this, and then this will happen. It's been far from that, right? So I'd say it's a learning process for me, because what I've taught, what I've kind of like projected that would happen or would happen in a certain way, haven't kind of like panned out where I wanted to be. So I've had to like compromise here, speak base here. I'll give you a perfect example. As I told you, we have a good client base here in the UK, right? So my brain was just, you know what, get here, speak to these guys. You can build an audience from them, like your cousin, your father, your mother, your brother, like build like a community, because you have one or two people. But it hasn't even worked out that way, right? I can say I've had more love from like the Caribbean community, which is unexpected, to be honest. I was hoping, there will be like a spillover from my Nigerian community spill into them. But I've had more weddings, I've had more client base, more like in presence, like media now, more from like Jamaican people, Guyanese, uh, British Virgin Islands. You know, like these guys are kind of like more people I've worked with in the past 4 years, more than Nigerians. So you see, I'd say it's not been quite easy, right? But as I said, the right steps, networking, the designs, meeting of people, looking for the best way to kind of like push out your stuff. Because now I've realized that the plan I had is not really coming to fruition as I wanted to, or I thought it was going to be. So I'm just like going with the flow, moving and making new plans because of the new things I'm seeing from data as well.
So with that, like, what makes you feel like your brand is stands out from the rest? You know, you said that you were able to attract a lot of Caribbean clients as well. So what makes you think, like, what is it about your brand that you feel like has resonated with them?
One of the things I'm very proud of, right, as a person is how I try as much as I can to, I don't know, it's always, it's a thing because what I want to do is design a piece where when you walk into a room, you're not shouting, but everyone will notice you. Do you understand? So it's a hard place to be. So it's like you're quiet, you're gathering all the attention. Do you understand? So it's a right piece of where, you know, the crystals, the designs, the silhouette is different, but it's not something, you know, big where it's a big headgear or like it's going to get attention. Do you understand? But when you look at it, you look at, oh, nice, like something, you know, like a second look would make you appreciate, you know, what you're seeing because you know that some thought has gone into this. We're not trying to make it loud, but if you have an eye for a little detail, if you have an eye for like rare beauty of sort, you would know there's a difference in this, you know? And I think that's what has kind of like made us different. So you would see a typical Agbada everywhere. But when you see, it's beautiful now where people send pictures because some designs, obviously, in the fashion space, people copy people, people get inspiration from people. Let's put it that way. So you see people send me stuff like, oh, hey, Koch, I found you this is beautiful. Nope, I didn't make that. Oh, it looks like your stuff. So, I mean, people at this point now know my or our design identity to say, when Koch makes this, it's supposed to look in a certain way. So I kind of like trained both our clients and incoming clients to say, this is what to expect from the brand. So I think that's what kind of kept us different. And yeah, it makes us grow because people that come to us, they have an expectation of what they are in line with what we make or sort.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what say, you know, has helped us as a brand.
No, but it is a high quality brand. You know, I've seen your work. You know, I was a part of a Nigerian wedding actually in September. And
Oh, nice.
let's just say I love my friend and he might cuss me out. But like, listen, I wish I had your designs. Okay, especially for the traditional wear, like, yeah, like, you know, yeah, because there was a tailor that they got from Nigeria, but then it was like when we didn't get to try on the traditional
Pieces.
wear until like the day of the wedding. Listen, it was tight on my arms, you know. One of the other groomsmen, one of his aunties literally had to go and get it retailored because it was completely tight. So it's like, you know, it's the attention to detail and also the design and the quality that
Yeah.
people are looking for in their clothes, especially for big occasions like a wedding and
Sure.
stuff
Sure.
like that. And so seeing your work, I can see so much of that in your work, you know,
Thank you.
especially how you've been able to grow your brand, you know, you've got Koch loafers and Koch bridles. So like, tell me what made you want to branch out into wedding wear and shoes, because even that's a whole different market. Okay, the wedding industry is huge, especially in Nigeria. Listen, like the fact that you guys have the white wedding and the traditional wedding. The wedding I was a part of, I was the best man and we did both weddings in one day. Okay.
You were exhausted.
Listen, I had to sneak off to my hotel just to recharge my social battery because I was too tired. Okay. And listen, that day is a whole movie itself and not in a good way. So, what made you want to step into the bridal industry and the shoe game industry? Loafers are such a classic men's, footwear, and it is universal because a lot of women will wear it with their suits as well. So like, tell me about like the inspiration behind that and why you decided to expand your brand.
So I'd say it came natural because when we first started, I told you we're making like custom pieces, designs where we are almost very certain you'd not see anywhere else, right? And the thing with being that kind of designer is it's hard to mass produce because these things, apart from being handmade, these things or these pieces are well thought out in a way that is almost difficult to replicate it in like 1,000 pieces, 8,000 pieces, something like that. And I feel one of the set of people that would really appreciate, the detail that go into this, because you can't think of it this way, right? You can use as much as like 4 to 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks to make a suit for someone and it's for an interview. Do you understand? Or it's for a date night. And this is not to say we don't make these pieces, right? We make regular suits.
Yeah.
We make, normal shirts and all of that. At the core of our being, at the core of our identity as a brand, we try to pride ourselves in the fact that we make one-of-one pieces. We make pieces where, when you wear it, it was done with intention. And the only reason why you really appreciate it or you would flow in that same line is you're also wearing its intention. You're coming to Koch House because it will take time to detail your stuff and you're appreciating it because it's for one day in your life. Like a wedding is just once you want to do it. So you want to think of the fact that, 10 years ago, I did my wedding. Let's say picture, Koch House killed this suit because it's one of one. Do you understand? So we have, it's a relationship between, designer and client where we both understand that this day is special to you. This outfit is special to me. So let's go show it off to the world. So that's how, and because we have that idea, it kind of snowballed in a way that your shoes also have to be intentionally made. Or wife's outfit, second outfit or something has to be intentionally made as well. So we are at this point now, I'd say for the past 6 years-ish, we've been more kind of like focused as a wedding vendor, like a wedding designer brand. So yeah, I think it just kind of happened from where we started as a design and then just gradually just graduated into what it is now.
No, I really like hearing that. It's really good to see because that's where you see the business model adapt, to the market and what's profitable. I was
That
gonna ask you, starting your own business is never easy, especially in the early days, because it can take a while for your company to become profitable. Sometimes you're literally just covering expenses or making ends meet. So, you had to form, a business structure that works and
yeah.
keeps the integrity of your brand. And bespoke pieces, I think people who are outside of the industry don't realize how beneficial that is for the fashion industry, because if you're trading something bespoke, it's for clients, it's for occasions, a lot of the time it's for like red carpet events, movies, stuff like that, and it really tailors to your brand. And that's how you, like you said, with networking and establishing your brand, that's where more people will reach out to you and say, hi, I love what you did for so and so's wedding. I love what you did for that movie premiere. Can you do something for me like that? And then that's where the profit kind of comes in, But how was it for you? Like, how long did it take for you? Do you feel like where you started to make a profit and found a business model? You touched on it a little bit that worked for you. Like, tell me about that.
So the thing is, it's the yin yang thing, right? I always say as a designer or as a creative, you should try as much as you can not to leave off validation of people. But the problem with that statement is as a commercial creative, right? Meaning you leave off your work. I need Kashif to like my stuff for him to buy it. And for you to like it, you're validating that as a good stuff. You understand? So it's black and white, it's yin yang. You have to find that balance. Do you understand? And sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong. So I feel like I draw satisfaction more like both ends. So there's some pieces that I make and I'm like, ooh, this is it. And then you do a collection, you do a video, you do like, media rollout, and it's all crickets. Nobody's buying anything. But at that moment, I have fulfilled my satisfaction that is from my head and I can see it. And then there's sometimes where you just be like, just pass that fabric, let's just do something with it. I don't like, just take pictures. And then I went down like, do you understand? So it's up and down, it's up and down. But the good thing about consistency is because you've done it for a while, you've tried to, even if it's undulating, you've found like a stable line of sort. So there are some pieces, there are some designs, there are some silhouettes that you know that this is always going to be a hit. And there are some that you know that this is for your own satisfaction, fulfillment. Do you understand? So over time, I'd say there have been periods where, we've made great profits. And there have been periods where we've made great creative satisfaction. Let's put it that way. That's for me, myself. So it's first 4 years, it wasn't so great. Right. And I remember there was a time, there's a guy, I always, every time I do an interview, I always mention his name, right? He's like the godfather of Koch House. Like he's the backbone. He's a friend. And his name is Daniel Okoro. He's a schoolmate. He doesn't even, I'm sure he knows by now because I've said it at different times, right? There was a time after making pieces, making beautiful shirts, selling and all for it, I realized that if I don't get like a loan, that's it. Koch House is done. Like we can't even, I have raided my mom's wardrobe. I've taken all the extra fabrics from everywhere. There's nothing else. Like, and I asked him, you know what? All I need to do is make 30 shirts. Just give me some kind of money and make 30 shirts. When I sell it, I'll give you money back. No, as an interest-free loan. So I'll give you money back and whatever I get from it, I can continue to grow. And he did that for me. And I'll say it's God's grace because first, I didn't even know why I just thought 30 shirts was the number. I just said, I just need to make 30 shirts. If I sell these 30 shirts to like at least 10 to 15 people, at least one by two, one, whatever it is, these are like new people that will bring new people and then somehow I'll make some kaftans and that in my head. And then somehow it worked. Right. So I'll say that was one of the times where it was hard. Like we've done so many designs. We're like, we're going to kill it with this. We're going to kill it with this. And nobody bought nothing. We had to now start giving them out just to be sure that, people bring people. But while you're waiting for those ones, there was nothing to make anything. I'd say from like the first 3-4 years, it was a bit tough. But after that, that loan came in, we were able to amplify a bit. Now we had like 2 or 3 levels of people that were bringing in new people, word of mouth, before we had money to do publicity and all of that. And it's been good all the way from there to now. It's been crazy, just crazy good, I'd say.
Love that. Love that. Unfortunately, that's when the interview ends. My interview with Nonye unfortunately got cut off due to his connection. So unfortunately, I can't give you the rest of the at least 20 minutes left we had of our conversation. But thanks, guys, for tuning in to another episode of the Kashif Booth podcast. You can follow Nonye and his fashion brand at Koch House. That is KOCHHOUSE_. And you can find me on my usual socials at the Kashif Booth podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes coming soon.